Good morning and welcome to the Red Ned Show, where it's always morning, even in the afternoon. I am your host, Jay Edgar, and I am joined once again by the wonderful Trent Ortner. Trent Ortner, welcome back.
Hey, brother, what's going on, man?
Not too much. It's been a little while. I still had short hair the last time you were here. I don't know if you noticed or not, but
you're getting somewhere now. You're like a half of tail.
Well, we're working on it here. We gotta get her ready to go because that's
going all the way down. Or are you just gonna like grow it until it like stops?
10 inches for charity.
10 inches. That's fucking cool. Awesome, man.
Yeah, that's the minimum that they'll take for any charity out there. So that's what I'm gonna get to, and somebody's gonna get a nice wig out of it. So that's gonna be cool.
Your hair will live on.
Exactly, and somebody who has health will. We'll get some enjoyment out of it too. So that's going to be cool here. Well, we have got a lot of stuff to go over here today. It's been a crazy week. Like, I was going through the itinerary and remembered all the stuff that happened at the beginning of the week, and it all changed on a fucking dime on Friday. I don't know if you noticed.
It's been wild. Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, no, I've been keeping tabs, and I like just checking back and. Because I mean, it's similar stuff that I just talk about every day. Like it's whew, we're in a pickle. That's what people need to realize. We're in a pickle, and this isn't some easy fix. That it's going to take a lot of hard work.
Yeah, but I'm sure that we'll get there at some point here, and I'm definitely looking forward to it as well. But yeah, it's something. It's definitely something here, and we're going to go through all of it over here on the Red Net Show. Biden has come out and made a fairly substantial mandate this past week, and it looks like it's headed for the courts, and I don't think it's going to pass, but I don't think it was necessarily meant in any sense to be a mandate. I think it was something that was meant to get blocked by the courts, and I'll explain a little bit why there. But we'll talk a bit about what's happening there, who's exempt, who isn't exempt, and what this means going forward. The 9/11 memorial happened this weekend, and, well, it just basically turned into a festival for politics. There was no structure, there was no memorial going on. It was just
Pandering.
Yeah, who can virtue signal the hardest? And they sure did virtue signal the hardest over the weekend. So we'll talk a bit about Obama, Trump, who was supposed to be going and announcing a boxing match, which I think he still did, but still managed to get down to ground zero and everything here. And yeah, it was a lot of virtue signal. The State Department is blocking flights from leaving Afghanistan. They didn't know why at first, but now we seem to have gotten a reason. I don't buy it, but it's what we're supposed to accept right now, so we'll talk just a bit about that. And Janet Yellen of the Fed has warned that we might default on our responsibilities coming off from the budget unless we raise that debt ceiling once again. I'm sure that.
I mean, that's fuck. To me, I mean, I'll let you keep going, but I mean that's common sense. I mean, look at where we're at. The number just doesn't just keep going up and disappear eventually. That's not how that works.
Well, we'll talk just a bit about that as well. Plus, I got a little surprise stupidity to end out the show for you here, over here on the Red Net Show. Thank you, everybody who's checking us out live over on YouTube, DLive, Twitch, Periscope. No, there's no Periscope. Trovo is now our new one here, and my Facebook page as well. Thanks for checking us out on all those platforms. And if you can't catch us live, you want to catch us back on demand, you can catch us over on YouTube and over on BitChute.com on the audio platforms, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. You can take us on the go as well. We got a lot to say here, so make sure you go and check us out, and also go and check out the Daily Ignoramus, the Porch Boys, the Breakdown with Birkenhoff, the Already Conservative, and the Freckles and Brit Show, all coming up to be a part of our new network that we have working up here. I've been working with a web developer. I sent out another email today, so we're going to see if we can't get that started, get ready to go for a fall release. Plus, I got to reach out to Brit and see if she'll do some graphics for us as well. But definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to joining these great people on this network.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Elaine or you didn't tell me that you guys were actually planning something like that. That's cool, man.
Yeah, we're working on it here. I'm working with the developer, and it costs a lot of money to get something developed, but it's somebody who believes in the cause too. I'm not going to drop names yet, but it's somebody
It's
we're all
funny.
familiar with as well.
It's it's funny that you said that because we're doing something very similar. At my organization on tyranny, or Voices Against Tyranny. Our on tyranny podcast is just one spot, but we're going to we have like 5 or 6, maybe 6 active podcasts right now that we're going to conglomerate together and under one umbrella, and we're going to produce it under the with a untyranny production name, and go and do that. I have a really talented team of graphic artists and web designers. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have what we have right now. I really, hats off to those guys.
Well, hopefully we'll do some joining forces here as well here. But before we get into any of the news here, because, it's been a while since you've been here. It looks like you've changed a couple things about your public profile as well. So why don't you tell the audience just a bit about yourself and what it is that you do?
Yeah, I'm a political consultant. We rebranded from, I started the Redacted Caucus, and we rebranded from that due to naming issues from my former partner. And so we were just trying to break away from that and just be our own thing. Weren't trying to, have the bad waves of bullshit come at us. So we were just sick of it, and we were tired of the back talking and the behind the scenes crap. So we just changed our name, and we're now Voices of Tyranny, and it's actually a stronger name. We have a stronger brand now, and we've rebranded, and we've really turned it around and made something that's the same better. And we're growing and growing and growing, and we're doing a whole lot of projects. We got a whole lot of protests and lobbying going on, court cases that we're working on with people. We're just advocating for everybody that doesn't have anybody in their corner. We're trying to be there in their corner for some people.
Well, it sounds like a good project. It's a little bit different from what I'm doing, but it's kind of in the same vein. So I'll tell you a little bit more details once we're off mic here, and maybe if you want to submit an article here and there, we'll have open written stuff.
I'm really interested.
We'll talk about that off air, but we got to get into some news here. So let's get right into it, starting with our little lightning round that we start off the show with. A bunch of stuff that doesn't quite fit in the main topics here. Starting with this one here from CBS of Baltimore, CBS 13. Capitol rioter Robert Reeder. I am a Democrat who didn't support Trump. A Harford County man who pleaded guilty to joining the January 6th Selfie Fest at the U.S. Capitol says he is a registered Democrat who wasn't a supporter of former President Trump and found himself at the scene as an accidental tourist. Prosecutors counter that he appeared to be proud of his actions that day. Robert Reeder took a train to D.C. to hear Trump's speech on January 6th because he had nothing better to do. Wow, I could think of a lot of better things to do than going to do that. His lawyer said in a court filing on Wednesday, Reeder made a spur-of-the-moment decision and a regrettable mistake when he attended the rally and followed a crowd of people to the Capitol after the speech. It's interesting on this one because it looks like he was in there, he got tear-gassed, but it looks like he was also seen wearing MAGA gear and bragging that he battled the police. So I think it's that he battled the police.
Oh, okay. That's not a good look.
Reeder recorded himself breaching the Capitol twice, videotaped an officer being assaulted, and bragged that he battled the police, a prosecutor said in a court filing on Friday. So he was also seen wearing a MAGA hat and for several minutes in the video.
He's trying to back out of what they're doing, the charges, by using labels like his political party and who you is that the gist of it? He's trying to.
He's trying to get out of a pretty substantial charge. I've read the criminal complaint for some of the people that go on and wind up being in the Capitol. the people who were there, one of my friends was actually there, and even though he had a cell phone in both hands and he was recording the whole thing and didn't violently breach anything, he's still getting charged with obstruction of Congress and
And I don't agree with that at all. I'm sorry. Like people want to like demonize it and make it the January 6th protest or assault on the Capitol out to be something like way worse than what it really was. Like it's very, very, very much being bred into this beast of a malady that happened to the United States. Like we had all of these people come in here, and we were threatened with our lives, and we were scared. I have PTSD. Like I've heard so many congressmen like talk about that. Like I have PTSD now. I got scared. I'm like, dude, Jesus Christ. First of all, it's a public building. If you had just let them in there to like actually have access and talk to you, I guarantee you there wouldn't have been that kind of shit. People are sick and tired of being relegated to being pulled away from the actual work that gets done in the government and separated away from like their representatives that are supposed to be representing their constituents, and they're getting tired of not being heard. And so that's a culmination of what. Fuck all of the Trump, brouhaha, like, oh, Trump instigated this. Like that's the undertone. But the real like reasoning you got to look at is like that many people are upset with the way this country is, and then they were that so upset that they went and went to go talk to their elected leaders. And now they're being charged with being too close to a congressman. You know, it's ridiculous. Like it's kangaroo courts, and they're being, and like these court proceedings are like low key. You know, I haven't heard hardly anything about like most of them, except for like a few key cases here and there.
Yeah. Well, we gotta keep moving on off of this one, but yeah, it looks like I think there were some glowing ones in that one too. I don't think this was all just people who were mega mega. I think there were a lot of instigators that were pushing that. And this guy, if that's how he's going to try and get out of it, is just kind of going on and pushing along with that. Here's an interesting one from the New York Post: Biden looking to reboot Trump's Remain in Mexico policy report. So it looks like it was a couple weeks ago, the courts ordered that the Remain in Mexico policy remain as a thing. So they have to continue with the Remain in Mexico policy. But Biden is trying to reboot it and make it into something else completely so he can still get away with whatever the fuck it is that he wants to do. But he's trying to go around the courts right now.
So what's the Remain in Mexico thing? Like, I'm not that educated on that one.
If they catch you trying to cross the border illegally, you have to stay in Mexico until your court hearing.
Oh, and so what is Biden trying to do then? I don't understand.
It's a little bit interesting to see with this, but looking in here, the desires to reverse Trump's policies and to do so quickly has landed Biden admin in the predicament, which is not unpredictable. That's what they're saying back about that. But it looks like they're trying to make it softer almost. The White House is discussing the change in the policy, which some are calling Remain in Mexico Light, with Mexico to ensure that it confirms with the Supreme Court's ruling and still holds true to Biden's campaign pledge to end the inhumane program, which he tried to do after taking office. Looks like it's mulling revamping the policy to allow a smaller number of immigrants seeking asylum to wait in Mexico as their cases are being processed in the courts and provide them with better living conditions and access to lawyers. So basically they're telling Mexico how they have to run their border facilities.
Yeah,
and that's not going to go over well.
And it also sounds to me like he's trying to, because I know he caught a lot of flack for not fixing the problem, the immigration problem. He's trying to put a Band-Aid on it and make it look like doing something. Like that to me, that's the overall feeling I'm getting from this.
Yeah, that's probably not wrong either. Here's a fun one from early on in the week. Numerous leftists on Twitter shared the obviously sketchy story about Oklahoma hospitals being overrun with ivermectin doses. This comes to us from the Daily Wire.
That was that was man, that was some funny shit, man. Like they were in Oklahoma in coats in the middle of summer. I live in Texas, and I know how hot it is in Texas. Oklahoma is not that far off from what we are, and I guarantee you it is not coat and mitten weather.
Yeah, looks like it was over the weekend. Numerous leftists with blue check marks for Twitter shared the story originally reported by Oklahoma news outlet KFOR, which breathlessly published the claims of a single doctor who claimed the state's emergency rooms were being overrun with patients who'd overdosed on the veterinary version of ivermectin, forcing gunshot victims to wait. KFOR apparently didn't reach out to any hospitals to verify the doctor's claims, but it was then picked up by Rolling Stone and then Rachel Maddow, Northeastern Health
So
System,
it was
Sequoia.
just that lone doctor that was out there speaking out. Is that what it was, basically?
Yeah, and he didn't even work for the hospital.
So it's just bullshit. There's like the trail ends at nothing. The trail ends at just wow. That right there is some real good news work, guys. Way to go, Rolling Stone, Rachel Maddow. You guys are killing it.
So, yes, of course, that was bullshit, but they all got egg on their face and no apologies from any of them. No. No, not this one. The next one is the accidental report. This one from Spectrum News 1 out of New York. Biden visits storm-ravaged Queens, making the case for infrastructure spending bill. So never let a good crisis go to waste, that's for sure. President Biden arrived at the corners of 24th and Astoria on Tuesday to witness the aftermath of what dozens of residents had survived just days ago, a gushing flow of rainwater that flooded their streets and tore through their basements, tearing away belongings and leaving destruction in its path. Well, let me begin by saying I wish every American could walk down this alley with me to see and talk to the people who've been devastated, Biden said, delivering remarks after a short tour of the area, and then turned the speech immediately into, "This is why we need an infrastructure bill, man. Come on, man."
You do a great impression. Like, I am very impressed. That's good. That's a good one.
No word on if he's ever going to go to Louisiana. I don't know.
That's it. I couldn't hear.
No word on if he's ever going to go to Louisiana.
Oh, I mean, you would think he would have to, right? Like, I mean, he can't just. But who knows? That guy's so brain dead. He doesn't know what he's doing when he wakes up in the morning. He just gets told what he's doing.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on when we talk about Afghanistan too, because it looks like he faced a little bit of pushback even in deep blue New York City. So that's what we see from that.
I would hope so. I mean, shit.
Bit of accidental reporting coming from The Intercept. Interestingly enough, that's not something I usually use because they're so far left you can't get a straight story out of them. But this one, I don't think they intended for this to go the way that they did. New details emerge about coronavirus research at Chinese lab.
Yeah, I think they really. I don't whoever their PR guy was. He really screwed that up because it was not the narrative that they were trying to push.
No, that wasn't. So it turns out that they went out and they FOIA'd the documents for the coronavirus lab, or I'm sorry, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and found out that yes, Barack knew what was going on with that, at least at the start of it. We don't know if he actually knew what was being studied there.
But there is years and years of cooperation and mutual work between those two labs. Like, there is a connection there. Like, that connection, and it could be very, very strong, or it could just be strong. But there is definitely a connection between the Wuhan lab and NIH.
Yeah. So, yeah, and they confirmed it off of here. And I've read through some of the documents. There are over 1,000 pages of documents.
You know what's funny about this? This story came out like 8 months ago, and it didn't catch any traction. I remember reading it about how the Wuhan lab and and how Fauci's teams have been cross-donating money back and forth and working jointly with people from the Wuhan lab, and it did get told. I don't know if it was 8 months ago. It was probably like February or March, but it did, and now finally.
Uh-oh. That was on my end. Give it just a sec. We caught a little bit of a bubble in the internet.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I got what you were saying there, though. And yeah, I mean, Fauci, I'm going to be the one, and I'm going to tell you what to do about this, but you're lying if you're telling me that I had anything to do with the Wuhan lab. Well, the documents show that you did.
He committed perjury.
Yes.
Like he did. Like he committed perjury, and I mean, I don't really give a fuck about what that guy says. I don't listen to it, so
Yeah.
it doesn't affect me personally. But
It's
the
the double
overall
standard.
scale of things, yeah, it's a fucking double standard. They need to prosecute him if because he committed perjury. Like no questions asked. Like it wasn't even like an if or like ooh maybe.
Yeah. And if you and I had done the same thing,
We would
we'd
have
be
been in
sitting in a
prison.
cell right now.
Yeah, yeah, we would be in prison right now.
Let's read from
Or
CNN.
murder.
The Justice Department sues Texas over 6-week abortion ban, because
Mm.
that's going to go over well.
I
Uh,
just did a show about that yesterday.
yeah.
Or
The
2 days
Biden
ago.
Justice Department sued the state of Texas on Thursday over its new 6-week abortion ban, saying the law is unconstitutional. Announcing the lawsuit at a news conference in Washington, Merrick Garland said Texas's unprecedented design seeks to prevent women from exercising their constitutional rights by thwarting judicial review for as long as possible. I've read the Constitution front to back. I don't see the word abortion in there once.
No, it's not.
The right to
Um,
privacy, I can see that, and that was determined in Roe versus
it,
Wade, but
yeah, it's not. To me it is a privacy issue, and this is what we talked about the other night. Is like the main complaint that we hear from people about abortion is taxpayers are paying for people to do this.
yeah, there's that
Remove,
too.
remove remove abortion from all the subsidies that because Planned Parenthood gets like a bunch that like most of their business isn't abortions.
Mm-hmm.
The vast majority of their business is contraceptives, teaching about sex, and like sex or I can't think tests for diseases
Cancer screenings.
or yeah, and STD. That's what I was looking for. STD disease. So like abortion is a small part of it. Like take away the abortion out of the subsidies and have all of these people that are pro-choice donate $1 and it'll cover it. That's it. That's all you got to do. But like it is a infringement on our 14th Amendment right. I do think it is that indeed. Like and the fact that Texas is asking their citizens to report on other citizens, that's the scariest part. I don't even care
Mm-hmm.
about the whole abortion part. Like the fact that they are incentivizing people to snitch on people with $10,000, and you don't even have to live in Texas to be able to do it. If you could live in Missouri and you hear about an abortion that happened in El Paso, and you pass on the information, and you could get $10,000. Like it's opening up the door for that type of culture. And 7 other states have already jumped on and like wanted to adopt similar bills that Texas did.
Well, you're close to how it works, but not completely exactly. It does require a pending lawsuit off of this, but you also have to find a judge that's willing to hear that case. And I got a
No,
feeling that a lot of
no.
people are going to.
It doesn't have to be a pending lawsuit. You can they have the way that you can call in and you can and get them to create a case against these people, a litigation case, and you can sue them for that. I can send you the stuff. Like it's crazy. Like it's a lot easier than just that.
Well, we'll see where this goes and what they do over in the federal courts here and see who wins out on this one. But I'd be interested to see where this goes because just the way they have it set up is unprecedented, and
Yeah.
we will find a way. They'll find a way, we'll find a way, and we'll see what the
Right.
answer is.
A court already like struck it down. So I mean, it's already got progress. Or 6-5, the Supreme Court did.
Mm-hmm.
And so You know, I don't know. Like I'm pro-life for the most part. Like I think that I would prefer to not have abortions, but I'm not going to sit here and tell people what they can do with their bodies. It's like my body, my choice. If it's your body, if that's what you want to do, fine. Like I don't agree with it, but that's your choice. It's not my decision. The government shouldn't have their hand in there and decide what people do
Right.
with it.
And that's the hard part for me. I'm very pro-life too. I just think the government sucks at everything, and I don't want them to have a part of it.
The government adding legislation and regulation doesn't it never fixes problems. It never does.
No, that it doesn't. Speaking of the government adding legislation, Manchin says that Schumer will not have the vote on $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill. So basically, Manchin is thumbing his nose at Schumer, and I'm here for it.
How how much more money are we just going to just throw? Like just $3.5 trillion. Like, do you know how much we spent on the whole war in Afghanistan for the whole time?
Probably like half of that.
Like
300.
$2 trillion. Yeah,
Yeah.
for 20 years. That was our and we're already throwing around these spending bills. The last 2 years, we've thrown on at least $13 trillion worth of debt, and it doesn't stop. Like I feel like it's made to go this way. They're doing it on purpose to crash the system.
Yeah, it was 7 trillion, by the way, not 13 trillion.
Oh, seven? Oh, it was seven?
Yeah, it was only
What
seven.
was?
The the
What?
the new debt, the
Oh,
entire new
seven.
debt under Trump was 7 trillion.
Yeah, I misheard that. Oh my God. That's, geez.
But there is some good takeaway you can take from. Oh shit! This asshole didn't silence his phone. There is some good takeaway to go with when you talk about this bill because with Manchin torpedoing the $3.5 trillion spending bill, the progressives in the House are going to torpedo the infrastructure bill if they don't get their $3.5 trillion. So this might be a do nothing term for President Biden.
It's going to be because they're growing so far apart. The partisan politics have sectioned each other off that they will not work with each other. Like they are on opposite teams in everything. There is no compromise. And that's not how our Congress is supposed to work. It's not supposed to be a divided house. It's supposed to be one house together, coming together, working on problems. And the fact that party politics are dictating our future is bullshit. Like that right there is just bullshit.
Well, I like that it's grounding them to a halt at least, and then they don't do stupid shit. I like that part.
Yeah, it's a good takeaway, I guess.
Yeah. But with just what you just said there before, on top of that, from the Daily Wire, inflation for businesses hits highest rate since 2010.
Yeah.
The inflation for business has reached year-over-year rate of 8.3%, the metric's highest level since 2010. The Bureau.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics announced that the Producer Price Index, which monitors the change in input prices for businesses and other domestic producers, rose by 0.7% in August, slightly beating the 0.6% rate predicted by economists. So they were already expecting this to get to that point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we just went a little bit further.
And they're just pushing it even farther.
The Bureau says the largest portion of the inflation for final demand goods was driven by higher meat prices.
And you're going to start seeing that in the next 6 months. People are going to start seeing a rapid rise in goods and products. Money is going to be less valuable than goods. The crack up boom, as Ludwig Mises has talked about in his theory.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't believe the fact that we live in a world where a T-bone is $15.99 a pound and ribeye is $24.99 a pound in Wisconsin, where all the beef is.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's going to get worse. And like, I just like I used to go around like telling people like wake up, wake up, wake up, and like now I just don't anymore. Like I just keep pushing my message, keep telling what I need to say, and hope that people like will string along because people are just so fucking complacent in this country. It's disgusting.
It is. Well, here's one that might warm your little libertarian heart, though. From the Hill, entire police department resigns in Missouri.
That's all right. I mean, well, did they say why? Was it the vaccine mandate thing?
No, it does not appear to be. An entire Missouri Police Department, including the chief and his officers, resigned, leaving the city of Kimberling without immediate authority. It looks like the mass exodus what had to do with low pay, low training opportunities, plus the cultural pushback against the police that we see off of this.
Yeah.
Now, Kimberling is a city, or I'm sorry, Kimberling City is what it's called, is a city of about 2,400 people. So, I mean, it's not like they're screwed at this point, but it's still fun to see. It's amazing to see.
Seeing the pushback.
Yeah.
It's good to see pushback because that's what we need to see more of that. Like if we all collectively push together, it doesn't have to become a violent, dangerous thing. We outnumber them greatly, and yep. if we can start doing that, coming together and being that.
There are also rumors going around Kimberling City that a lot of the police officers got sniped by West Branson, which is right next door.
Branson's a cool city. I like that place.
So, Kimberling City, nope.
I was born in Missouri. I was born in Joplin, so like I'm kind of familiar with that area.
Kimberling City, no police. Here's some good news for you. White House yanks its top pick as gun regulator. David Chipman, bye-bye. Yeah.
I don't even understand how that was even like a question. Like how even asking whether or not he could be in that position is just asinine. I mean, he was the one person you should not have to be an unbiased authority in alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Well, I do have to wonder if they're not taking a page out of The Art of the Deal, and if Chipman wasn't the big ask. Like they said, okay, here's Chipman. Oh no, we hate him. He's too extremist. Okay, here's somebody who's Chipman light,
but not Chipman.
Yeah. So he's out.
The ATF needs to be abolished no matter what. They could put the greatest regulator in the world there. It's a needless fucking federal agency, and it overreaches its power. But
hey, Beavis and Butthead were named as honorary members of the ATF.
What? Really?
Oh, wow, there's a movie that I've seen that somebody else hasn't seen. Yeah, at the end of Beavis and Butthead Do America, they were named as honorary ATF agents.
See, I saw. I don't remember that part. Okay, that's fucking crazy.
President Clinton nominated them.
Makes sense. I mean, they are obvious picks. I mean, I would do the same thing.
So here's another one because Democrats love to tell us that everybody but them hates the process. Well, reading out of the Carolina Journal. One state Supreme Court case could destroy the court for years to come. So there is a court in North Carolina right now who is trying to overturn a constitutional amendment that was picked by the people by 9.6 million legally cast votes in North Carolina to add two amendments to the North Carolina Constitution, one being voter ID and the other one being a cap on income tax. And they're trying to get two Republican Supreme Court justices removed so that they can strike this down.
I think we caught a glitch again.
Yeah, we did. So I'll start right from the beginning. So right now, the Democrats at the Supreme Court are trying to get two Republicans removed so they can block an amendment that was voted on by the people to add a cap on the income tax and voter ID into the Constitution as amendments.
So what's all this I don't really understand the voter ID argument, honestly. Like, can you try to like maybe am I not understanding it right? Like, it is like what is so bad about showing your license when you go to vote? I mean,
It's the way they tell it is that it's racist in order to do that. I've not seen any reason why it's not racist, but I mean there are a lot of things that go along with voter ID as well. You know, who's eligible, who's not eligible. One person, one vote is another big one that goes along with that, and your precinct that you're supposed to be voting in, so you can get your alderman, so you can get your state reps, so you can get your um, um, U.S. rep all correctly on the correct ballot for that. It's all conveniently right on your address on your driver's license.
right.
But
I
apparently
mean,
it's racist for some reason.
I guess I can see how, because what if you don't have a license, and if you don't have a license you can't vote. I get that part, I guess. But I think it's being made it to be something way bigger than it really is.
Yeah.
To me, like I think it could be easily resolved if people just stop fucking like batting at each other every chance they got, just because they it's just, oh man, it's just frustrating. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things too, because this was long before the voter ID thing was a big argument. Actually, a more progressive friend of mine from when I lived in Kenosha had put out a Facebook post and asking, okay, because I get mail at this place and I get mail at this place, and I think it was her mom's house and then the apartment that she lived in. How do I know which precinct I'm supposed to go in and vote? And I said, well, I commented back. I said the most accurate thing to do would be to use the address that's on your driver's license because, and it's once again, it's not about the presidency because everybody's going to vote for the same presidential candidates. But your alderman, you'll want to see because this girl lived in a completely different part of town from where her mom was. So the
Okay.
alderman was different. Your state rep, there are two rep districts that go through Kenosha. State senators, there's one district there, but state rep, there are two state rep districts that go through Kenosha. So yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of different stuff that you know which precinct you're supposed to be in by your driver's license because that's where your residence is.
Right.
But honk honk, I mean, in '04, if I really wanted to, especially since I was still leaning Democrat at the time, because of the way the take a piece of mail in, a utility bill or something to go and that's how you determine your precinct. I could have voted in three different places in 2004
Yeah.
because I was getting utility bills at three different places, and they might have let me
Yeah,
at the time.
that's something to think about. I mean, if that's possible, look what else is possible. What other kind of voter fraud can we look at in the future?
Well, I can tell you this that there was absolutely no voter fraud in the 2020 election. In fact, Biden is the most popular president in history. More votes than even Barack Obama, honk honk. Nothing bad happened there.
Did you see how one of the auditing agencies for Arizona was like a shell company that didn't exist really?
I haven't seen that yet, but I know that they all got COVID right before they were supposed to release the results.
This company, I can't remember the name of it, but
Cyber Ninjas.
they were the auditing for like 2.6 billion votes or something,
Mm-hmm.
and their address was a FedEx post office box,
Hmm.
and they had they had no structure to this company, and there was it was just very obvious that this was a bullshit company.
Yeah.
And then so you got to look at those 2.6 million votes were looked over by a company that doesn't even have a business address or like people that you can like get in touch with that works there. That's, to me, that right there is shady. I don't know where or what, but do I think that voter fraud happens? Yeah, I do a lot, but I don't know for whom to whom. Like it doesn't matter to me because my candidate didn't win. So not even close.
Well, there's a handy guide for what you can say on YouTube, and that's the fact that the 2016 election was completely 100% stolen by foreign actors who went out and changed all kinds of millions of votes out there for their puppet president.
Was not. They just didn't do it for this one.
Yeah, no, this one was the safest and most secure election in history. That's your handy guide for what you can say on YouTube without getting your channel shut down.
Do they actually shut people down for doing that?
Yes. Oh yeah. Here's some more.
Yeah. Sorry.
Here's another one that might interest you as a person of third-party persuasion here. Andrew Yang is going to launch a third party.
I like Andrew Yang. I do. I think that he's got the right mindset. I think that he kind of fucked up and try to like go towards the money when like just recently running for mayor and like running for president, like he drifted toward that Democrat money really looked good, to him. And I think that he needs to stay true to himself and do what he really believes. And if he does that, man, I can't say that I wouldn't support him because he's got the right mindset and the right things to go about.
Well, we'll see where it goes. Looks like on October 5th, he's going to release the platform for it, which I don't even know what it's going to be yet. There haven't even been any leaks, but it looks like he's also got a new book coming out called Forward, Notes on the Future of Our Democracy, and we will see what comes up because I think it's going to be tied with the book.
How do people find time to write books with all the shit that they do? Like,
I have no idea.
I don't buy that. Like people, like somebody will be going on campaign, and they'll be working for like a year campaigning, and then they'll release a book. When the fuck did they have the time to write a book? Like seriously?
I don't know. Amy Klobuchar has come out in the news. Amy Klobuchar has disclosed that she has a breast cancer diagnosis. She says the treatment went well. And I'm going to be one of those. I'm not going to come out and say anything bad about Amy Klobuchar. I know I have disagreements with her policy-wise, but I do hope that she lives a long and healthy life. Because cancer sucks.
I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
I'm from Minnesota, and yeah, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I disagree with her on all kinds of ideological things, but I can't. After seeing so many people in my family go through cancer, I could never wish that on anybody.
I wouldn't wish cancer on her, but I that woman is just the worst policy and law like creating person I have ever seen in my life. It's just she just blows my mind how bad she did. Like she set Minnesota back for, like by herself. I think.
Well, we'll see where it goes. And the last one I have here before we get into the big news of the day is that Gina Carano's former Mandalorian co-star speaks up for her, calls cancel culture baffling. So unfortunately, it wasn't Pedro or Carl, the two lead people out of the show, but the woman who played the armorer, Emily Swallow, from season 1, has come out in support of Carano.
What did she say? I can't. I know it was like something like racist, maybe. I don't know. What was it she said?
She was comparing something to the Holocaust, and I don't remember what it was either. But yeah, they fired her from her post pretty quickly, which sucked because I liked her character.
For comparing something to the Holocaust for just talking.
Yeah, I liked her character too a lot.
Yeah, I did too. Hell yeah.
I just watched The Mandalorian for the first time like a month ago, and I liked the character. Oh, really? The character was great.
Really? Yeah, she's a great character on there, and like you're not going to be able to bring back that fit, tough looking chick again, attractive, tough looking chick again.
Yeah, I hope they change their mind. I really do, because I'd love to see her come back.
That's so sad. Like just because she disagreed with something and was comparing something like that. Philosophy should never dictate whether or not you can work somewhere.
Yeah. All right, that's all I have for the lightning round. We're going to get into the vaccine mandate in just a moment. Let's check in with the live chat, see what these guys are doing. Over here, we got a few people moving here, moving and shaking. Nailbender is over here, looking around. Arvolt, it says, I never get to watch the Red Ned. Glad I can drop in for a bit. Well, thank you, Arvolt, for coming in. MK Ultra 3330 says, Night stream. Sorry for yelling. Hey, Arvolt. Katie Zed is here. Good afternoon, friends. Welcome in, Katie Zed. Well, you're in Eastern time, Katie. It must be almost nighttime for you. Randy Crush Saga is here. Katie Zed disagrees with you a little bit. She says it's the baby's body and it's murder, which Katie Zed is very religious, so I can understand where she's coming from for that.
And I understand that mindset. Like I'm not disagreeing with it. I just don't. I don't feel like the government has the right to tell a citizen what they can do with their body. That's all. That is my stance on abortion. There should be no government intervention in what you do with your body.
Well, we're going to leave the argument at that one because otherwise we're not going to get to anything else on the show here. Let's see. Harvey McLeod is here, who was the guest last week. Welcome back, Harvey McLeod. She says, I feel like Andrew Yang just wants to try to do right, but knows the snake den won't let them. Yeah. And then she also answered your question as far as how people write the book. She says ghostwriters, which, yeah.
It's just wild. Like, you didn't.
Fucking Spectrum. Every time it rains, I swear.
I think we got a glitch.
Yeah, every time it rains, the Spectrum internet, there's something on the outside of the building that screws up. And we had a massive rainstorm today, so it'll probably bubble a little bit in and out as we go. Lily Rose for Prez is here. Welcome, Lily Rose. That's a new name in here, so thanks for coming in and joining us. Says, hello, everyone. Harvey McLeod says she was exposing red shirts. Which I guess I don't. I'm going to go look up and see what that was after the show because. What's up?
What did she say?
She was exposing red shirts.
Like communists?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Lily Rose for president says, I never really understood Star Wars. Yeah, I have because I've seen all movies except for Rise of Skywalker and I've studied it extensively. But yeah, there's a lot of lore there too. So. All right, and we will circle back for more live chat after the next segment here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I want to just listen to a little bit of this speech by the houseplant in chief because, yeah, this was incredible. So we're going to do a little bit of the front half of it, and then we'll do a little bit towards the middle. So let's have a listen to what that sounded like.
As COVID-19 has been hitting this country hard, we have the tools to combat the virus. If we can come together as a country and use those tools, if we raise our vaccination rate, protect ourselves and others with masking, expanded testing, and identify people who are infected, we can and we will turn the tide on COVID-19. It'll take a lot of hard work. It's going to take some time. Many of us are frustrated with the nearly 80 million Americans who are still not vaccinated, even though the vaccine is safe, effective, and free. You might be confused about what is true and what is false about COVID-19. So before I outline the new steps to fight COVID-19 that I'm going to be announcing tonight, let me give you some clear information about where we stand. First,
And this is the thing is, he made this crack and he did it twice. And that's the other part that we're going to go to is, we're frustrated with the fact that people won't get vaccinated. It's not your choice. It's not your call.
Right. And that's the overarching theme that I see there is like 80 million people we're frustrated with. I'm like, but are we really frustrated with them? Like, there are those volatile people out there that are like, oh my God, you're not vaccinated, stay away, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But I would say the vast majority of the people that I've interacted with aren't like that. But you have 80 million people that just don't trust it and don't want to do something. You can't coerce them to do it and force them with the expensive penalties. Like the way he's coming down on businesses is the businesses he's using privatized businesses in a government form. Like they found a way around our belief system. Like everybody goes to say, you know, private businesses can do whatever they want. Well, here we are now. Now they're pressuring private businesses, and private businesses are requiring people to do this. And like it's.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that in just a minute. I just want to get through this little bit of the speech, but yeah, I mean that's legitimate fascism. And by the way, I want everybody to notice that up on the corner of the screen, because you can see it. I don't even have this full screened out. You can see the full YouTube screen there, including my recommendations, which is a lot of lo-fi. But live chat was turned off for this video, and if we scroll down, 3.9 thousand upvotes and 28,000 downvotes.
Jesus.
Let's listen to this other part of this that I want to quote. And then we'll go over what's actually in this thing.
America needs your personal involvement in this critical effort. My message to unvaccinated Americans is this. What more is there to wait for? What more do you need to see? We've made vaccinations free, safe, and convenient. The vaccine has FDA approval. Over 200 million Americans have gotten at least one shot. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
Okay, what does that line mean when you hear that coming from an executive?
I thought the same thing when I heard it too. Like that was there was some threat behind that tone. Like when you first said that, absolutely. He's speaking for people that aren't you know, that he thinks believes that way, but they don't.
Yeah, and it's, what are you going to do, President Biden? Tell me that. What are you planning to do to make this happen? I need to know. I need to know what it is that you're going to come off and do with this. But he did conveniently outline some of this here, and the Associated Press has told us a little bit more about that. We've got some more video to watch for this, but I do want to go over some of the outlines for this. So it appears as of right now, according to the way they're going to do, they're going to go around the system like Texas did with the abortion ban. It looks like the Biden administration is going to use OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Agency, to administer fines because the unvaccinated are supposedly making an unsafe work environment. Yep. This fine will be effective for any business operating within the United States or its territories with more than 100 employees. This will require all these businesses to either have their employees vaccinated with a proof of a card or have weekly negative tests. And non-compliance in this government order will involve a $14,000 fine per person per instance.
Are you serious? That's the figure they're throwing out there.
14,000, yes.
If I want to say something, and I hope I'm not overstepping, but if anybody's listening out there and you're putting your line in the sand, where is your line in the sand at right now? Because I can tell you where mine's at, and this is, we cannot allow this. That's why my organization and our partners are doing a bunch of stuff to protest this crap and try to lobby against it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, as of right now, everybody around me is looking for ways to get back around that. And we'll talk about some of because the Surgeon General is going to be watching this for abuse as well. We'll talk about that in just a bit. But I mean, the fact that they're going out to this, to anybody, first and foremost, why the arbitrary number of 100?
Yeah.
Who drew that line and said, okay, 100 is the one that we can enforce. We can't enforce anybody with 99 employees.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of business out there. There's a lot of small business out there that's under 100 employees.
Yeah.
So they just get to have an unsafe workplace. I mean, if this was a pandemic, if this was seriously the world-ending pandemic they try to tell us that it is, they wouldn't bury a line in the sand. What is going on with my internet today? Jesus. No, what I was just saying was, I mean, if it really was a thing of, because the arbitrary line is 100 employees. If this is such a world-ending pandemic like they're trying to tell us that it is, like this is the plague 2.0, and this is going to wipe out 75% of the human population, which would make Bill Gates all gleeful, why is the number arbitrary like that? Why don't they enforce it on businesses less than...
If that's what's going to wipe us out, why is the survival rate fucking like buckets less than that? Like it's not even like a figure. It's that is ridiculous.
Yeah, I know it's ridiculous, and
throwing those figures around, they use these big numbers to scare people. Like people like to see like, oh my God, 75 million people will be affected. We got to do something, but it's not really like it's propaganda at its finest.
yeah, and I mean the propagandist in chief got on her soapbox over this whole thing. Let's listen to the red-haired bobblehead, as I like to call her. Let's listen to what she had to say. Actually, I think a few weeks ago I mentioned that nickname that I have for Saki, and somebody thought I was referring to Elaine. I'm like, no, I like Elaine. I don't like Saki. No, Elaine is not the red-haired bobblehead. This is the red-haired bobblehead.
To use your word, how bold is the president willing to be as far as the private sector is concerned in the vaccine mandate area, even if they don't have federal contracts? Can the Department of Labor or anybody else compel major employers, large employers, to force the vaccine mandates on their employees?
Yes. Stay tuned. More to come this afternoon.
To use your...
Yes. Like what? What did you say?
Yes, stay tuned. Keep yourself glued to the television set and listen to what these people have to say.
But she said, can they force them? Yes, they can. How? I want to know how. I want to like are they? Man, oh.
No, I know, and this is insanity. And now this is another thing that really bothers me about this, because I was listening to Spotify the other day, or yeah, it was yesterday. I was listening to Spotify when I went and did a hike in Rock Cut State Park, which is not that far away from me.
Nice.
Anyway, I went down to Illinois and did the hike down there. But on the way down, I was listening to Spotify, and there were 4 instances where I heard a commercial talking about BP coming up and saying, regulations make everything fair for everybody, so we want to make federal regulations on methane emissions. I'm like, no, you just want to sink some of your fucking smaller counterparts who aren't going to be able to afford to stand up to the regulations like you will. And that's going to be the same thing with the vaccine mandate. Google can get away with a few people slipping through the cracks on the vaccine mandate, because $14,000, that's like, I thought I had a dime on my desk. That's like throwing a dime at the fucking government to them.
To them, but to us, it's like that's a whole year of college or semester of college.
Yeah, and a small business that has 100 employees, even the business I work at, which I'm not going to disclose, but even them with about 300 employees, that's a significant chunk of change, and per person per instance on top of it. You can rack that up in a hurry, especially if you have half your workforce doesn't do it.
Yeah, easily. Out of business.
That'll bankrupt some of these small businesses, yeah.
In a month. It's either bankrupt them in a month or fire the people that aren't complying. That's That's their show. That's what they're trying to pull.
Well, do you know who is not going to be beholden to this? Because there are a few people here that aren't going to be beholden to this. Now, on top of the OSHA mandate, there is a mandate for all federal employees to be vaccinated per the Biden administration, unless you work for the Postal Workers Union, oddly enough. The New York Post tells us White House clarifies USPS workers will be subject to vaccine mandate, but the APWU said at first that no, they will not be. They will not be subject to this.
The union's like, no, fuck you.
Well, this is a thing that's actually going around in the private sector too, but that's something that they're working through the courts. The APWU is directly involved with the Biden administration, and they said, no, fuck you. Because like you had said too, with any business with more than 100 employees, these unions are supposed to be out here protecting the workers' interests.
Right.
Keeping them from being able to get fired for something like this. And now they either, like I said, the business has to pay the fine or you're out the door. Well, the union's not going to look kindly to that, and the union puts big dollars into Democrat pockets.
That's true. That is very true. I have been doing a lot of statistics, and that is something that I have seen a lot. Unions definitely drift towards the Democrats.
Yeah. So they're going up and making a big stink out of this. Like I said, the Biden admin is saying that yes, they are going to be subject to the vaccine mandate, so we'll see what happens from there. A lot of people theorized when the statement first came out that they were doing this because they were getting ready to go back and honk the California election, which I'm sure is also going to be completely above board, and Gavin Newsom will be the most popular governor in history of California. Honk honk.
God.
I could see a world where YouTube shuts you down for saying the wrong thing about that too, just like they did for the presidential one. That's why we honk. That's why we honk our way around it.
Gotcha. I'm tracking now.
Now you got it. So it does look like the Postal Workers Union is going to be subject to this, which I think is going to go over fantastically for the Biden administration. That's going to be very good.
Right.
Who else is not beholden to this? Reading from Newsweek, I had to archive this one. Members of Congress and their staff are exempt from Biden's vaccine mandate.
Yeah, that was something that I read, and that blew my mind. Yeah, all of the legislative branch is not subject to any kind of vaccine mandate, and I was like, I read that, and I was, oh, and the
judicial branch is not subject to this either. Now, simple logic would point out the fact that is a separation of powers issue, not necessarily a legal issue, but the executive branch is not supposed to have mandate over those other two branches. But logic would also dictate that if this was the case, and this was once again such a world-ending pandemic, that Nancy and Chuck would be up there, start screaming about, okay, well, all you bastards need to get vaccinated now. Well, Biden can't do it, but I can.
The real problem is the fact that it's a fucking executive order. Why are laws now being made executively? Like, why isn't our legislator like doing their job and following that path and making these laws that they just don't do. They don't agree on, so they never get anything done. And so the president just goes and signs a pen, and when Chief Justice Scalise gave the executive power, its real power that it has now, back in the early 2000s, at a swipe of a pen, Biden's writing laws that are going and being enacted, regardless of what people say is right or wrong.
Yeah, that's interesting as well to go on for enforcement, because I remember when the mask mandates went in, and there was no real enforcement mechanism for, I think, 48 states, because all the mask mandates were executive orders. They weren't legislation. Right. There were a couple that did legislation for it, but they were all executive orders for the most part. And there was no enforcement mechanism for that.
I mean, how can you? Like, what are you going to like? That's such a trivial thing to charge somebody with. And I've seen it happen. It has happened. It happened here in Waco. Like a guy ended up going to like getting released and freed, but he had to go through this whole process with this cop because he wasn't wearing a fucking mask. And it was a long drawn out thing. CJ Grisham did the video. He released it, but it's just ridiculous.
So there is that aspect. And one more group that is also not beholden to the vaccine mandates. Let's listen to the red-haired bobblehead one more time.
Oh Lord.
I know it's torture. I know.
Across the southern border into the country.
Well, look, our objective is to get as many people vaccinated across the country as humanly possible. And so the president's announcement yesterday was an effort to empower businesses, to give businesses the tools to protect their workforces. That's exactly what we did. But certainly we want everybody to get vaccinated, and more people are vaccinated, whether they are migrants or whether they are workers, protects more people in the United States.
But it's a requirement for people at a business with more than 100 people. It is not a requirement for migrants at the southern border. Why?
That's correct. Go ahead.
Why is that not a requirement? That's correct. Next question.
Well, let's talk about the tens of thousands of Afghan refugees that they brought here. Are they vaccinated?
No, that's against the Muslim religion, as far as I know. No, I'm serious. I believe that is against their religion.
I know you are. It's another one of those things. Like the hypocrisy is just flagrant now, and they don't even try to hide anymore.
Interestingly enough, because you just pointed out earlier in the show that you're in Texas as well, but you're down there by Fort Bliss, where they're bringing a bunch of migrants in. I live in Wisconsin, where Fort McCoy is, which, being from Minnesota, you should be at least familiar with that name as well, but where they're bringing all kinds of migrants in. And yeah, are these people going to be vaccinated? Are they going to hold their nose or get a religious exemption, or what's going to happen with that?
They're not they're not citizens here, so what can we mandate to them? Like we're not technically not their sovereign country, or so, I don't know.
So yeah, that's three.
I gotta step away for a second. I gotta go use the restroom.
Oh, all right. We'll do some live chat while he stepped away. See what you guys are doing here. Let's see. Where did we leave off? Harvey McLeod says Biden's presidency looks like that's a emote of a butt. Lily Rose says, I would almost say Putin is better than Biden as a Russian. Nice. And those are just the dislikes. They haven't removed yet. Yeah, that massively ratioed video there. Let's see. Harvey McLeod says, Putin doesn't project weakness. He won't take shit like this administration does. Putin is smart. Biden is not, says Lily Rose. Harvey says, I work remote. I don't know how they'll be able to enforce this. My line is, I will hold out until they try to fire me. Lily Rose says, it's still crazy to me how focused USA still seems on virus. So I'm guessing Lily Rose is out of the country, so we'll see her there. But we will circle back to that. So I will check back at the 1828 mark for Harvey McLeod, and we'll keep going. But yeah, that's three groups that are exempt from this mandate or aren't being enforced to this. This is going after the American worker.
Right. Yeah. No. Like I said, it's flagrant. Like they're not even trying to hide it anymore. Like it's their agenda is becoming more and more and more open in public. And the sad thing is, people aren't getting pissed off and angry about it like they should be. Like I just don't understand it. Like they're still complacent.
Yeah.
And
it does look like there are I believe there are up to 18 states that are going to sue the federal government over this. But I do have a theory about what this is and why it came out to be what it was. And I hope you'll hear me out on this one because I look at this. I always try to look at strategy. I'm an RTS player. I love StarCraft, even though I won't buy any more StarCraft stuff because Blizzard is fucking butt. But I still love StarCraft, and it's always you got to be watching ahead on strategy, especially if you're playing multiplayer, because you got to see where the person is going to be 10 steps ahead of you as you go, and see what the long game is. And I look at this and I see, because the news has been trying to get the Afghanistan stuff out of the news for weeks at this point.
Right.
And we're seeing the dip in the poll numbers, and Biden is underwater at every poll at this point. I just looked at RCP this morning. He is underwater in every single poll that's out there.
What are you looking at? I haven't looked at it at that in a while. Sorry. I have a stutter from a brain injury.
The Real Clear Politics aggregated average, they take, I think, 7 polls and they average them out. And as at this point, yeah, he's underwater in all of them. Biden's approval is sinking like a stone, and they can't push poll him back out of this.
What is underwater? Like tell me what like numeral wise, what is underwater?
Let me look that up, actually. I'll grab the RCP average, if they'll let me in with my ad blocker on, which I think they might be getting ready to shut me down for that. But underwater means that his approval is lower than his disapproval. Biden job approval, here we go. Yeah, the RCP average right now is 45.2% approve, 49.8% disapprove. But yes, every poll, I think except for the IBD tip poll, yes. There's one poll that has him above water. 2 polls, I'm sorry, because the Reuters Ipsos one does too. And that's not even by a whole lot. The Reuters Ipsos is 47 to 46, and the IBD tip poll is 47 to 45.
But he's still across the board. I get what you're saying now. Yeah, it's. But I mean, what does that mean? Like all that means is like, is he going to get reelected in 4 years? Who knows? It doesn't matter. It's going to be another tyrant regardless, unless we do something different.
Yeah, so, I mean, but there are a lot of people that are on his side right now that are getting major buyer's remorse from this. Like, oh shit, what did we vote for?
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, pretty much. But
he is brain dead. Like there's no arguing that anymore. Like there has to be such limited function in his brain, because just the way he interacts with people, it's just blatantly obvious that he has no idea what's going on.
Oh, he knows some things of what's been going on. I mean, he knows his butt's been wiped.
The small thing. It's always the small things.
My butt's been wiped.
I'm good.
Where I was going with that, though, is, I mean, he was going underwater on the Afghanistan thing, plus the inflation thing. And the American people were starting to unite against the federal government, first off, and then the Biden administration on top of this here. And if the American people unite, there's nothing the federal government can do. If the American people unite against them, it's in their best interest to go back and divide us. And the vaccine mandate is a big dividing issue. Because the people that are pro-vaccine hate the people that are anti-vax, or anti-this vax, I should say.
But you know, people that are pro-vaccine view people that are anti-mandate as anti-vaccine. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm pro-vaccine. I've got my vaccinations. I think scientifically it's a good thing to do. But I'm not going to tell somebody else that they have to do it. That's you know. So like, we're grouped together with all of the anti-vax people, and it's just not true.
Yeah, and I mean, you were active duty on top of it, so you've got probably more vaccines than I do at this point.
Yeah, I've had. I think everything probably.
From what I understand, they gave you guys all kinds of fun stuff. And
Oh
then,
yeah, I've had all 6 stages of the anthrax vaccine. I've had smallpox twice, um, and then just all the other ones. I like, depending on what country we're going to. Like it's a lot. You just sit there and take it. I mean,
so you've had the anthrax vaccine. Does that mean you have no appreciation for 80s hair metal?
I don't have any appreciation for anthrax, even if I didn't like it. Like they're just not good. They're just not. Like they no. I would prefer other metal. I'll take Slayer over Anthrax.
I got one more I want to touch. I got two more I want to touch on in this COVID vaccine, and then we got to grab some other stuff here. Fox News is reporting that the Surgeon General has said the U.S. is to monitor whether vaccine exemptions are being used properly. So they're going to be out there. They're going to be looking over everybody's exemption. Yeah, your papers, please.
Your papers.
Some critics argue the exemptions allow for simple abuse, but Murthy insists the administration will ensure that won't happen. Unfortunately, as a country, we have experience in dealing with exemptions, but we've got to be vigilant there and make sure that people are using them, in the spirit that they're intended, and not abusing them or asking for exemptions when they don't apply. Cool, now do welfare.
Cricket.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, they're going to be pushing for that. And yeah, you said your papers, please. But also, on top of this, I found this interesting. This came out before the mandate came down. But out of NBC 6 South Florida, no vax, no visit. A South Florida doctor won't treat unvaccinated patients in person.
I don't even have anything to say about that. That's just funny. Well, like, why are you even a doctor? Like,
well, that was because I do almost every story that comes onto this show. I do on Contemporary before, so I've read almost everything already once. And the first thing I thought about this, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to put the address of this office on screen because I don't believe in doxing people. But if you live in Florida and you see the name Linda Maracchini, don't go to that doctor. Don't try to send her a message. Don't do anything bad like that. But don't go to that doctor. Don't give her your business.
Definitely don't send her bad message.
Don't do that shit.
That's just mean. Don't do it. Don't find her address and send her mean shit. That's not cool.
And I know people are going to anyway because NBC South Florida put her name out here for this, but still, don't give her the business. That's my big thing is don't go there because
what kind
she
of doctor
clearly. I think she's GP.
So
I believe it said.
So she just won't see people that aren't vaccinated.
She will see them via telehealth, but she will not see them in person.
Does she have medical problems? Does she have like extenuating circumstances that could, that Corona could possibly do something bad to her?
That was not touched on in the article. That is a possibility, but that's not something that they touched on.
I mean, if that's the case, I don't blame her.
Yeah.
If you have a survival instinct where you have to tell yourself that, well, I can't take these people because I can't risk it because there's always the chance, and so I understand that part. So they may be reading out of context like all of this, and it may not just be this black and white thing that they're pointing out.
I think that if it was me, honestly, I would have a hard time going into general practice if I had a health condition that could be exacerbated by something like that, though. Just that would be my problem with it, because that would be a risk-reward solution.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Specialist or research I could maybe see, but I don't know if I could do general practice if I had that kind of condition. And to be clear, I'm not saying that this person shouldn't be a doctor because of an underlying condition. I'm just saying I would make different life choices if it was me, if it was a general thing of safety.
How old is she? Does it say?
Let me go back and look. Sorry, I was setting up the next topic already. It also does not say. They had a video of her. She probably looks to be mid-50s, I would say.
So if she has her own practice and she's working outside of a hospital, like if she's working in a hospital, she can't mandate that. That's
Right.
So she has to have her own private practice somewhere.
Yep. All right. So
Anyway.
that's what I have for that. Let's check in with the live chat, see what these guys are doing over here. Back up to where I was. Let's see. Harvey McLeod says I work remote. I don't know how they'll be able to enforce this. Hey, maybe they'll make new federal agency jobs. We'll create jobs because we got to go check everybody's papers.
Don't that. Yeah, that could happen.
Putin refuses to close again, apparently, according to Lily Rose for president.
Putin refuses to what?
To close the country again.
To close his country?
Yeah.
Why does that matter?
Apparently, Lily Rose lives in Russia, according to something she said later on in the chat.
Okay.
Also, I wonder why USA isn't just more quiet with their news, because people all know it's either a joke or whatever.
Okay.
Randy, oh cool, shout out in Waco. At least it worked out for that dude in Waco. They haven't had a good dealing with freedom in the past.
Used to work for what?
All I see is there's a shout out for Waco, and then Randy Crush Saga says at least it all worked out for that dude in Waco. They haven't had any good dealings with freedom in the past. I'm not sure what that means, actually.
Oh, Waco Police Department is corrupt as fuck. The whole county
sure.
here is just like the DA was investigated for corruption with the Twin Peaks biker shooting, and like it even like blended into my life. Like I got affected by it, but that's a whole other story.
Let's see. What else do we have here? Randy Crush says, are you guys talking about hypocrisy? But he had the alternating caps for hypocrisy, like he was mocking it. I don't want all those unclean postal workers handling the packages I'm ordering so that I can hide from Corona AIDS.
Fair enough.
And then he says, underwater like his butt's been wet. Harvey McLeod says, now there's still people shilling hardcore for him, saying he brought jobs to the U.S. And we'll circle back after this one. Says Harvey McLeod says, duh, it's a college town.
So, no, okay, I want to touch on that jobs thing. Yeah, there is an increase of employment right now, but you want to know why? Is because the mass decreases of people being
unemployment benefits.
Huh?
Unemployment benefits?
Well, no. A whole bunch of people lost their jobs in 2020. So like the market of people getting their jobs back is like he's using that number that he really hasn't accomplished. Like it's the pattern of how this all ended up. People lost their jobs because of 2020, and now they're getting their jobs back.
All right, we gotta keep going here. We gotta talk about the 9/11 memorial, the politics of the 9/11 memorial, which I hope to God I would never have to say in my life. But here we are, 2021. And the first thing that I'm going to put up on the screen for you is a tweet that I found of somebody taking a screenshot of the Apple News, and just to show you how it is that people think that this whole thing is. So let's get that over on the screen here. Apple News today in conversation. How the 9/11 attacks ushered in an era of fear and mistrust in the U.S. and set the stage for the January 6th insurrection.
What?
That was the headline from Apple News. The article wasn't given, but that was the headline.
Say it one more time.
How the 9/11 attacks ushered in an era of fear and mistrust in the U.S. and set the stage for the January 6th insurrection.
So are they making the comparison of terrorism to insurrection, it being another mode of terrorism?
Yes.
because they've been trying to make that and not now Apple's actually coming out and saying they've been trying to make that connection with activists for a very long time. Bunch
Yeah.
people that I know like are do get grouped in that category because we speak out.
Well, the connections didn't stop, so that's the first thing that I want to do is we're going to listen to W. I can't believe I just said those words, but we're going to listen to W.
W, get it.
W.
The security measures incorporated into our lives are both sources of comfort and reminders of our vulnerability. And we have seen growing evidence that the dangers to our country can come not only across borders, but from violence that gathers within. There is little cultural overlap between violent extremists abroad and violent extremists at home. But in their disdain for pluralism, in their disregard for human life, in their determination to defile national symbols, they are children of the same foul spirit, and it is our continuing duty to confront them.
I know you want to say something about that.
That's a recent speech.
That was on Saturday at Shanksville in Pennsylvania.
He said that.
Yes. 2 days ago.
Wow. That sets the tone right there. Like he is providing the foundation to lay the groundwork for them to be able to label anybody that opposes them as a terrorist.
Well, he's a Bush, so I mean, he's already there.
I'm saying it's being said now. Like he's actually saying it now. Back when he was a president, he didn't talk about within the country. He was worried about overseas. It was always overseas. Now he's worried about overseas and what's going on in our country. So he's making the comparison to where his previous speeches were always dedicated to fighting terrorism overseas, the global war on terrorism. And now he's using that message to come and preach about it as a moniker for the new terrorism that is enveloping in the United States, and that's just not true. And that is the narrative that they're trying to drive, and they're pushing it hard, and they're really, really hurting people. And it's going to get a lot worse unless people actually, if we don't all collectively stand up and tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, no, and the first thing that I thought of when I heard that part of the speech especially was WMDs 2.0.
Yeah. Setting the tone. That's all it's doing, is setting the tone for the next conversation to come about, hey, what about that person? He seems dangerous. He seems dangerous. And you know, that's something too, the word dangerous. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay.
I have a quote for you, and it has to do with it's on Justice John Marshall Harlan's reasoning on the Jacobson versus Massachusetts. He says, let me try to find it. May be compelled by force against his will without regard to his personal wishes or his peculiar interests or even his religious or political convictions to take his place in ranks of the army of his country and risk the chance of being shot down in his defense. It is not, therefore, true that the power of the public to guard itself against imminent danger depends on it and on every case involving control of one's body upon his willingness to submit to reasonable regulations established by the constituted authorities under the sanctions of the state for the purpose of protecting the public against such danger. So he said that there are times that the state can constitute what is danger, and then from there they can make their own recommendations and laws on how to mitigate these dangers, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And that's what happened with coronavirus. That's what happened with the Patriot Act. I mean, we saw stuff like this all the way back in Pearl Harbor.
Right. Yeah. The Japanese interned. It was for safety. It was for the safety, for the greater of the whole is what they'll use. And so, you start seeing those types of speeches come out. You need to start being wary because they're going to start pounding harder, guys.
Interesting enough that you mentioned safety and doing things for the greater good. A roving, let's say, reporter walking around here caught on cell phone camera. We'll watch the video of this here, of all the people who were masked up when they got up on stage throughout the day. Everybody going off and wearing a mask. Well, it looks like while they were in the park, we see Kathy Hochul, Jerry Nadler, Speaker Pelosi, and numerous other people in New York all walking around in close proximity to each other, completely maskless. There they all are, too. You see all the big names. It looks like, I don't know if that tall one in the background, if that's Biden. I think it is, but there's one person wearing a mask. Everyone else is just... Oh, and there's AOC Biscuit back there, too. Yep. So, you have to do it for the greater safety, but they don't have to do it while they're standing in a crowd in the middle of Central Park. Your microphone's off.
It's always public. It's always they preserve their image in public, the masked image in public. But like you see in that clip, they don't really give a shit about masks. It's not real.
Biden gave a speech from the White House. This was a pre-recorded speech, by the way. It's interesting enough, W went out and made a live speech. The Donald went out and made a big impromptu speech in the middle of a police station. And Biden's message was a 6-minute pre-recorded message that he did from the White House. Because of time constraints, I'm not going to play this message here, but needless to say, he was 7 seconds into the speech and he already made it about him. I had a friend named Davis who lost his son in the World Trade Centers, and I lost my son to cancer, but I say the Army, and this heavily edited speech. I don't know if you saw the speech or not. You're muted again, by the way.
No, I know. I was trying to pull up something that had sound, and I didn't want it to leak on your show.
Oh.
I feel like I just say it all the time, over and over and over and over again. Wake up, wake up, wake up. And what do I have to tell you people to make you understand that this is not like some game or some movie or something that this is real life that we're dealing with. And if you don't stand up now and actually make yourself uncomfortable to fix these things, help us and like join our ranks and be able to jump in and fix the problems that we're having, there's going to be nothing left for your kids that you have right now, or our kids, my kids. That's what I'm fearful for.
Yeah, and I do find the interesting juxtaposition between the Biden speech, where he talked about unity and let's all come together and remember this, versus the W speech, where it was implicitly divisive.
Right.
See those 80,000 people that voted the way that you didn't like? They're dangerous terrorists, and they inspired the Capitol. It's domestic extremism, and I'm not going to come out and say it's domestic terror extremism, but it's the same thing as the people who flew the airplanes into the building.
That's how they're labeling it. That's how they're framing all of it, because and it's written in the moratorium that the White House wrote on DVEs. It's very, 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 very vague in who could be labeled as a domestic violent extremist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is scary shit. President Trump made his rounds throughout this, so this was interesting to me because up until early morning on Friday, or Saturday even still, it was believed that the former president was going to be he was going to be announcing a boxing match in Florida and wasn't going to be able to go visit the 9/11 memorial site, which I actually did not. I agreed with that. I didn't think he should, but he did wind up making an impromptu stop at the 17th precinct in New York City's Midtown, going in and talking to the people who were there, telling the police how much he appreciated them. It looks like at this point, just looking at the actions that he's doing and the fact that he's lost probably a good 40 pounds at this point, I think he's going to run again.
Oh, I know he's going to run again.
I'm still waiting to see if Biden dies, because I think that's going to put a hammer into it. But
he has to run again. There's no. He's already he has set himself up to where he can't back out now, unless he were to something fatal or massive to happen. There's no way that Trump's not going to run in this next presidential election. If we get there, it's going to get violent.
Yeah,
I'm afraid of that.
That's actually the observation I made too when people were complaining about the fact that he didn't go down to the main memorial, or that he just, all he did was he went down to this precinct or whatnot. He didn't do it announced or anything. What happens when Trump makes an announced stop? What happens when he schedules something? The protesters show up and they get violent.
Yeah.
Do you really want that around the big memorial where the president is, where the former President Obama is, where former President W is, where all these people are?
And you got to think too, he lost by, millions of votes, but there were still 78 million people in this country thought that he was the one. And they thought so vehemently and volatilely. Like they follow him into the darkness type of situation. And it's like that on Biden's side too. Like people were voting for Biden just because it wasn't Trump.
Yeah,
they weren't voting because for his policies or what he believed in. It was just orange man bad. Don't vote for him. And that's so sad. And like the way that they're drumming up all of this type of shit that's going on, this coming election is going to be fucking wild.
Yeah, even the midterms are going to be wild, I think.
Totally agree. Yeah, especially if they start shifting, if interest starts shifting to the Republican side in the House, and like what's that? That's going to change the whole outcome and the whole culture and views of like how the presidency is being ran right now.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I got one last one I want to do on this, and this is from everybody's favorite failed Florida Democratic candidate, Pam Keith, who on Saturday also decided that she needed to put this tweet out that reads, "On 1/6/2021, 9/11/2001 ceased being the worst thing that happened to America in my lifetime. It's really weird and painful to process and say that, but it's the truth, and quite frankly, it's not even close." Comments have been turned off on this tweet. It still exists, but comments have been turned off.
So what is she trying to say?
That the January 6th Selfie Fest was worse than 9/11.
See, and that people with that type of platform who are making those types of like, that's bad. When you get people with that type of platform that are making those comparisons, and people are looking at it and being like, you know what? Yeah, maybe so. Because people are idiots. I'm sorry. The vast majority of America are blind as fuck, and they have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some chatter in various live chats and various Twitter conversations that you know, where people could see it, I don't agree with it, but I can see where people could see it because the selfie fest was an assault, so called, on the Capitol itself, like the actual
4,000
governing
people didn't
building.
die when
Yeah,
they went to the
exactly,
Capitol. 4,000 people
exactly.
didn't die, and not to include how much damage it did to the people that were there. You know, we're still dealing with the repercussions of like the stuff that's happened. Firefighters are getting cancer because the shit they inhaled in their lungs. The people, like the families that lost people, like there's so much collateral damage from that. Comparing that to like the 6th is like comparing 9/11 to the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, you even go back to it even further. You look back on more of this here. On top of the 3,000 people that died from the direct impact of everything, the firefighters are still getting cancer. What about the war that was justified, quote unquote, by the
Wars.
actions of not? Yeah, wars. You're correct on that. That was justified for that. How? What you said? You gave the figure before. $2 trillion in Afghanistan down the toilet.
Yeah, $2 trillion is what we spent in Afghanistan, and
Plus all the lives that went with that.
and all the collateral damage that goes with that. You know, it just goes on and on and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and to go off with that too, I'm just going to go right off into the other topic here because we're on to that already. Just the botched bullshit that came out of the Afghanistan withdrawal.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They're talking right now about going back.
I know.
General Milley, Lindsey Graham.
See, and this is what I've been telling people. They're not going to leave. Like, people need to get this through their head. Afghanistan isn't about a war or about the people that are there. Afghanistan is about corporate interests. 80% of the opium production exists in Afghanistan. So 80% of pain pills and all of that, they're not going to give up that market share. Plus, there's the largest copper mine in the world in Afghanistan. There's lithium mines in Afghanistan. China's been mining there for 10 years. The mining stakes, like, you remember like them talking about like blood diamonds in Africa and all that going on. It's very similar when it comes to what it is possible to be mined in Afghanistan. Like, there are that type of you know, you saw how people went to extremes to get diamonds. Imagine what they're going to do to, you know, get this kind of, just to get resources out of Afghanistan.
Yeah, I mean, I look at some of this too, and I think that some of this we were being set up to do this, and I say botched withdrawal, but I look at this and I'm like, is this really a botched withdrawal, or is this the way that they planned it out to be? Holy shit, I just glanced over at my Twitter and I see AOC in a white dress with red letters that says tax the rich.
Great. I mean,
fuck.
Yeah, whatever.
God damn it. I was in a good mood too, god damn it. I have no faith in humanity left. But one of the big news stories that came out of the beginning part of the week is the fact that several private charters were went into Afghanistan on their own volition, on their own free will, to go pick up people who were left behind there. You know, all the people that everybody who got out, who wanted to get out, everybody else who stayed behind wanted to stay. Well, it turns out that wasn't the case either. And there are thousands of both refugees and American citizens who want to come home still, who want to come back to the United States. Glenn Beck has 6 planes over there right now.
Yeah,
The State Department, Glenn Beck has 6 planes over there right now.
He has 6 planes?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Being a hack conservative commentator with a hack website apparently pays well. I'm not a fan of Glenn Beck.
At least he's doing something with it. That's, I mean, I guess I got to give him props to that, because there is that issue in Afghanistan. I don't know the amount, but, you know, somebody told me that there were 10 to 40 million displaced Americans in Afghanistan. I asked myself, how the fuck is that possible?
I don't know. But the State Department...
How do we get close to 10 to 40,000 displaced people in Afghanistan. Like, when did that happen?
I couldn't tell you. That's been something that's been blowing my mind from the beginning of this. The State Department. Well, there's actually been an argument all week whether it's the State Department or the Taliban, but the planes that were over there were not allowed to take off from the Afghanistan airport. I don't know what the new name is. They just changed the name when the Taliban took over.
Yeah, it used to be the Hamad Karzai Airport, but
Yeah,
that guy said.
Yeah, they changed that name. But regardless on that, yeah, it's not just Beck's planes. There are dozens and dozens of U.S. planes, chartered planes by philanthropists that are over there. That it turns out it is the State Department that's not allowing them to leave.
Our State Department?
Our State Department is not allowing them to take off. Yeah,
I would just tell them to kick rocks. I'm going. See ya. I got fuel. I'm coming home.
well, you're in violation of airspace and subject to get shot down by all these fun countries around there that don't like us.
I would love to see that happen. I would love to see that. See us shoot down a plane full of refugees because they didn't want to. That would do it. See what happens.
They did it over Iran last year. They were Canadians, but
oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I misspoke. We're already there, I guess.
But yeah, I guess the reasoning the State Department is giving, which I think is bullshit, because hey, those vaccines magically made these diseases disappear, is because there's a measles outbreak among the people who are trying to leave.
And that's possible. I think I got a shot for the measles to go over there. Pretty sure I did.
It must have been a booster because you're approximately the same age as me.
I don't know. I may be lying. I don't know. I know that they would give us shots to mitigate anything that was possible.
I was gonna say I got my measles shot when I was in middle school.
Yeah, probably same thing.
With the mumps and the rubella shot.
Yeah, measles, mumps, MMR.
Yep.
So then, yeah, no, I did get an MMR booster. Yeah, for sure. I've gotten those before.
Yeah. So that's the reason they're giving for that. I don't know how much of it I buy because really, honestly, I can't see the State Department wanting to admit the fact that there are people over there that still want to come back home.
Who knows?
Yeah. We're sitting here trying to predict what our government's going to do, and like at this point in my life, I don't know anymore. Like I can't. I don't have that prediction anymore. It's just not possible. Well, I promised you some Biden stuff, so we had some more Biden stuff from his little trip to Queens that we talked about in the lightning round. Because there are some New Jerseyans in deep blue New Jersey that were not real happy with him. Let's listen to what that sounded like.
Leave them in ruins and leave Americans behind.
Shit.
Leave Americans behind.
That's fucking crazy.
He will leave you behind. You guys protected him. He'll leave you guys behind.
That's crazy.
Leave no American behind.
Ronald Wiltrick buried in Arlington, 2011, December 11th. For what? He lost his life for what?
That was one scene out in New Jersey. And another one...
Was he there speaking when that happened, or was that just before or after?
It was just a visit. Like he was going through and surveying the damage from Hurricane Ida.
And that's... Okay.
And this other one happened out on the streets, and I thought this was New York at first, but I am wrong because I can clearly see the New Jersey license plate in the video. By the way, there's Cory Booker, too, in the middle of this. It's hard to hear, but in the background you can hear, "Resign, you tyrant."
I see no lie.
Well, I have one more I want to give to you here, and I don't know if you've heard of this one or not. I didn't believe until I saw it in the New York Times, a former newspaper, This is probably the dumbest story to come out of Afghanistan at this point. And I've still got it up on the screen, and I'm not going to take it down and switch the scene because it's that bad. Archive from the New York Times. Times investigation in U.S. drone strike. Evidence suggests no ISIS bomb. So, if you'll remember, right before, I believe it was, on August 29th, when they said that we drone striked a car because we found an ISIS bomb. Well, there wasn't an ISIS bomb in there.
Okay.
It gets worse. They did drone strike somebody, and he was an American contractor. He was an American citizen.
Right. I saw something about that, but I haven't researched that.
Times reporting has identified the driver as Zamari Ahmadi, a longtime worker for a U.S. aid group. The evidence, including extensive interviews with family members, co-workers, and witnesses, suggests that his travels that day actually involved transporting colleagues to and from work. And an analysis of the video feed showed that what the military may have seen was Mr. Ahmadi and a colleague loading canisters of water into his trunk to bring home to his family. That was the same car strike that killed 7 kids and 3 adults on top of this dude.
Because of like where it hit, like the blast killed them.
Yep, the blast killed him, and then there were 10 bystanders that also died.
Are they going to answer for that, you think?
No. You knew the answer to that before you asked that question.
Yeah.
This is ridiculousness of the highest level.
Yeah. It just shows you they're not afraid to just shoot somebody out of the sky. Like, take it as heed that warning that guy was an American citizen, and they just shot him down. They shot him straight out of a drone. Fucking wow.
Well, and I had theorized too, because they hit an ISIS building in Afghanistan on a drone strike the day before, which I think they just shot at an empty building because we're doing something. And I made the same theory about the car. I thought that they just found a random car.
Started coming to the stage when we were leaving. ISIS wasn't even being talked about, and then out of nowhere, ISIS K has existed. ISIS K's here now. I mean, it's just. Have you read about the Haqqani network?
No, I have not. I've never heard of that.
There is the Haqqani network that directly links ISIS to the Taliban. So we in the Haqqani network is empowered in the Taliban, and so we collectively we gave the Afghanistan back to ISIS. Like we did, like and there's evidence there. It's not just some bullshit theory. Like there's evidence of like key players in ISIS are now the key players in the Taliban's regime.
All right. I have a note to research that, but I look at this. The State Department is grounding flights for measles of all things. They don't want to talk about, they want to talk about trying to make the Afghanistan response is so great. Plus, we spent all this money in Afghanistan, and now we're going to compare it to terrorism in the U.S. W is looking for, he doesn't care who the opponent is in the war. W is looking for a war. If it's the American people or if it's more Afghanis, he is looking for another war.
Yeah.
Because he's George W. fucking Bush.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of political violence, but I would make an exception to forcefully sterilize the Bush line.
All of them.
Every last one of them. I would make an exception for them. And I'm not even saying to kill them, just sterilize them so they can't reproduce anymore. Let them live a long and healthy life with the guilt of what they've done to American politics for 30 years.
But I don't think they don't care. We just need to realize that they don't care. It doesn't.
That's fair. That's fair.
They don't have the same moral structure that we do.
I have hope for humanity still. I know it's foolish, but I still do. All right. I have a little bit of surprise stupidity for you. And then I think we're going to be done because it looks like the live chat has gone a little bit quiet too. But given the fact that today is the eve, the last day before you go out for election day in California, we'd be remiss to walk away from all of this without hearing from Mr. Gavin Newsom and his entire outlook on politics. Let's have a listen to what he thinks about politics.
The idea that we have someone on the other side of this ballot that could be sworn in a matter of weeks, that not only doesn't believe a woman has the right to choose, not only doesn't believe, as the senator said, women are as smart as men. By the way, I don't know if you've seen Senator Warren cross-examine folks on Wall Street. Apparently Larry Elder has not. Women are smarter in politics, smarter in civics. They're smarter in economics. Women rule. Man.
Spot the simp.
What am I supposed to say? I have nothing for that guy.
I found it stupid, so that's kind of what we do at the end of the show.
There is no other way to find it. Like it's just, and it's so obvious. It's so blatantly obvious, and people are still like on the fence of like whether or not the government is bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. I'm probably gonna have a heart attack at a young age because of the American people and how ignorant they are. That's probably what's gonna happen to me.
Well, and I've got one question for Gavin Newsom because of the speech that he gave. If women are smarter in politics, smarter in civics, they're smarter in economics, why are you still holding that seat? Why don't you step down and ask a woman to go run instead of you? Why are you still holding that seat?
Yep. It's so hypocritical. It's just flagrantly hypocritical, and it's happening day in and day out now. And they're just not hiding it anymore. The tyranny is overflowing. There's nowhere else for it to go.
There isn't. If you're in California, vote yes to recall this asshole.
I'm so glad that I left California. Oh my God.
There's so many people that are trying to defend this guy too. That's the crazy part. Like every social media influencer out there that's a woman that's not in California has got across her banner right now, vote no on the recall. Go vote no right now.
Let them make their own bed. I mean, that's on them.
And I mean, there is some stuff at stake here, but not the same kind of things that people are trying to make it out to be. Do you know Rachel Nix at all over on Twitter?
Oh no, I don't. I thought I did.
Oh,
but
she's a friend of mine, and she put out an interesting tweet on this whole situation because Larry Elder, of course, is running up and screaming to the wind, the high heavens, that if Dianne Feinstein has to resign while he is in office, which is actually a very high possibility at this point, he's going to replace her with a Republican. And Rachel pointed out fully that Larry Elder should shut his mouth about that because while the recall of Gavin Newsom is, as much as they're trying to tell you it's a Republican thing, the recall of Gavin Newsom is a very bipartisan decision that's going on right now. Because everybody seems to hate him, Democrats, Republicans, otherwise. But a senator from California that's a Republican is not a bipartisan issue. That's something they're going to fight against tooth and nail. And other than the appointment, because of California's constitution, other than appointing a senator, there's really not much that Elder can do. There's a Democrat supermajority standing against him. He's neutered his first day in office.
Yeah. Effectively.
Trent, that's all I got.
I had a great time.
Let's grab that last little bit of live chat here, these last couple messages. Seawall is in here with the armored half-track, and he doesn't say anything else, unfortunately, because he's always got good takes on California. He's also a Californian.
Okay.
Originally. But not anymore. He lives in the same state as you do.
Well, good for
but
him.
I will not disclose where.
He made a good choice.
Harvey McLeod says, yes, exactly. They created jobs. They're created jobs. They're reinstated. I think she's trying to say they're not created jobs. They're reinstated. Just like you said. All right. That's all that I have. Let's throw some music up here for everybody. And let's find out where we can go find Trent Ortner. Where can we find you?
I am on Twitter at Trent Ortner, O-R-T-N as in November, E-R. I also am the chairman for the Voices Against Liberty Super PAC and caucus. And we are on Twitter at Untyranny Caucus. We're on TikTok too at Untyranny. We have a show that we're doing that I'm hosting. I'm getting ready to host another show actually with one of my best friends from the Marine Corps. We're gonna create a new podcast. It's gonna be pretty fucking badass. I'd love to have you on there, Jay.
Okay.
It's gonna be cool. A lot of stuff going on in the pipes. We're doing protests against these mandates. We're doing a whole bunch of national protests. We're doing an all-in-one My Body, My Choice protest in Austin this month, next month sometime. It's going to that one's going to be a really big event. I'm putting a whole lot of resources and effort into that one. But yeah, just see us, and we're on the old internet, www.untyranny.com.
I just put that in the live chat. I put your Twitter in the live chat as well, so people can go and find you. And we're going to head out of here for the night. Thanks to everybody who came by, hung out with us, chatted in the live chat, the lurkers, the listeners, the new people, the people that have been here for a long time. Thanks to everybody who came by and hung out, kept us on track, kept us in the same place. And I will be back here tomorrow morning for more Contemporary. That is at 7 a.m., so come back and hang out with us. That is in Central Time. Trent, when's the next time you are going to be live or scheduled?
I'm going to be on Larry Sharp's show tomorrow. I'm not sure if I can't remember if it's live or not, but I'm doing a Larry Sharp show. But we usually do podcasts. We release ours every Friday. We have an episode we're going to release soon. I did with Jeremy Todd and Lauren Liberty. Really good. We do clubhouses. We do clubhouses every Sunday at 3:00. Just an open forum. Just hang out, to chat, talk, bullshit, yell at each other, whatever you want to do.
Well, go and check that out. I'm sure that all that information will be on the links that were provided to you at that point, and that's going to be it. So the last thing that I always say on this program is never take the words of bloggers, podcasters, or journalists as gospel. Find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. Trent, lead everybody out with some last words.
Wake the fuck up. I'm sorry. I just have to say it. It's just resonate that in your mind, please, people. Wake the fuck up and start doing shit.
Awesome. Take care, you guys.